Hey there, welcome back. And today we are working with this image. Let's have a look. We have this lady as a subject and who's sitting in this in front of the beach. And we have some sort of a folded umbrella kind of situation that's happening over here, some sort of canopy. And what else? We have this fishing boat over here, a few mountains in the background. Kind of a nice image. So let's see how we can improve this. Couple of things that come to my mind if I look at this image is this element helping this image in any way? I don't know because there's some sort of silhouette, but it's not adding much to the image according to me. We have this weird rock over here. That might be a like a slight error, which can be removed with a nice crop. But mainly is we generally do not try to shoot images of people from the back because that's not a very appealing angle. And in this particular situation, we have the head of the person in line with the railing over here. So it feels a bit claustrophobic and it kind of feels as if the person is caged, but that could have been an unintentional mistake over here, but we are dealing with what we have. So that being said, if the person wanted to have a completely silhouetted like the frame, I would suggest we can still see a certain like a tint of red on the t-shirt over here. So if you're trying to have a proper silhouette, maybe we can try dragging down the reds over here. And we can also frame the image so that we have a proper composition because right now we have this weird railing because if you see all of the like the leading lines, if we were to say, are coming from this angle to this, but here it's abruptly getting broken. So we do not want that. We need a gradual movement across the frame. So it feels a more impactful and an overall pleasurable image to look at. So that being said, these are a couple of props that I would suggest. So one is prop it over here. Prop. Of course, we are still retaining a few of the elements of the background, and we are cropping the image to focus more on the person rather than the overall clouds and the landscape. And as I said earlier, we can just get rid of this because it's yeah, it doesn't do much. And what else? So that is one of the crops. And in general, obviously that's a different thing. We generally take, it's better to have the edge, like the area of contact of the person with something that is steady because currently it's being chopped up in a weird angle because if you see it's propping up the elbows too, which we generally tend to frown upon those things. So that's a minute thing that we need to keep in mind whenever we are taking a frame. And that is frame number one. And the second frame that I would suggest is focusing more on the landscape and having the orientation completely on a longitudinal and a horizontal like a aspect ratio so that it feels and accentuates the overall landscape further. We get rid of the railing and the subject and like the person altogether and focus more on the landscape because we already have an interesting subject, which is the boat over here, which is perfectly, not perfectly, I would say, but kind of in line with the reflection of the sun on the water. So it's quite nice. Obviously, it's a bit too blown out because if I'm trying to mark up using a white, nothing is showing up. So that being said, we could be a bit more careful while we are thinking about exposure in an image because we generally tend to, it's a bit too bright for my taste. But if the photographer is into those kinds of like shots, hey, who am I to say anything? But yeah, those are a few suggestions that I would like ask the photographer to think about. And mind you, these are just my suggestions. So if you like the shot that you have taken, just ignore all of the noise and clutter that's out there in the world, because at the end, it's your shot. And if you're enjoying the craft of photography, at the end, that's what matters. So just few pointers to improve the image. So that's it for today, and catch you again in the next video. Bye.